One of the funny things before we actually won the games was the fact that everyone we met didn't really believe that we'd get it. We were kind of constantly faced with people saying, "What are you bothering for? You won't win anyway."
Everybody who has experienced the park is absolutely overwhelmed by this landscape, which is just extraordinary, very different to anything that anybody has seen before, and landscape architects right at the heart of it.
Everyone knew we had to complete by the 27th of July, but what we wanted to do was deliver and create a park for the next century.
The collective desire to do the job really well, leave nothing to chance, make sure it's done properly, was palpable.
I would like to think that the Queen Elizabeth Olympic Park, which is what it will be known as, will have a real special place as one of the great London parks.
It looks as it does because of the mindset, the skills, etc. of landscape architecture. Who knows what it would look like if landscape architecture didn't exist as a species? But if you go to countries where landscape architecture is very poorly developed, and say it's dominated by an architectural view of the world, they don't make places like that.
There'd been years and years and years of industry using that area. It meant that it was just unpleasant to look at, and it just felt like a huge industrial derelict area.
It's one of the hardest places you could put an Olympic Games, really, in London, in terms of railway lines, infrastructure that runs over it or on it or underneath it, so that you've got quite a lot of flooding issues, huge amounts of ground contamination.
The River Lee was not really there, it was almost like a sort of dirty little channel. And so what we've achieved in putting the park into that location is that the River Lee now runs through a valley again and is there in its glory as a river.
But they had the vision of being able to draw the banks back, raise the park up through the mounds such that when you're in the venues you could feel you were in the park. That was genius.
The real crux of the vision was that the park should be distinctive and inspiring. It's a park that you want to go to whatever the weather, whatever the season.
Visiting the park and seeing it used, seeing young children run along and roll down the grass terraces, and you always know you've done well when people are having their photograph taken with a backdrop of flowers behind them.
I think that if there was ever any evidence needed that people absolutely love a flower-rich, colourful environment, this is it. I mean, I think we knew what to expect to some extent, but I think even we have been amazed.
It has made me realise a lot of landscape architecture needs to engage much more with the power of things like colour, and that is no point in doing things which are very modest and gentle. If you really want to engage people in the sense of nature, if you give them lots of colour, like on a wildflower calendar, they adore it.
We will be doubling the size of the parklands. The master plan for transformation has these elements called stitches, which effectively bring the park out to the edges, to the wider community. So I think it's a great surprise to people who think that what we built during Games is pretty much it, but actually we come in and turn it from a 50 hectare more or less park into a 100 hectare green park. That will provide a real focus for the future development of this whole area.
I think there's a lot to be said about the teamwork that landscape architects have been involved in this as well. I think we shouldn't be afraid to kind of team up when we need to. I think you've got to realise that no one firm could have ever delivered something of this scale and this complexity. So the team working for me is incredibly important.
What is a park for people as well as wildlife? I think it's been about right. So, and the quality of the design, the quality of thinking, that has gone into getting those habitats right, I'm not sure there's much more we could have done better.